Elvis Presley, the 30 seconds that changed the king forever. 30 seconds of silence. That's all it took to terrify Priscilla Presley and transform Elvis from the king of rock and roll into something he'd never been before. When she told him she was pregnant, he didn't smile. He didn't celebrate. He just stared at her with an expression she couldn't read. But what was going through Elvis's mind during that crushing silence would reveal a side of the legend that even his own wife had never witnessed. December 1967. Behind the golden gates of Graceland, one of the most famous marriages in America was quietly falling apart. Elvis and Priscilla had been married for just 8 months, but the fairy tale was crumbling. Priscilla was 22 years old, isolated in a mansion that felt more like a prison. Elvis was constantly traveling, filming forgettable movies, drowning in the pressure of fame. Their relationship had become a battlefield. Arguments erupted constantly. The easy connection they'd shared during courtship had evaporated. Elvis was fighting his own demons. Colonel Parker had locked him into movie contracts that made everyone rich but left Elvis creatively empty. He felt trapped in formulaic beach party films that didn't represent who he was as an artist. The frustration was eating him alive. Living with Elvis meant living with chaos. You never knew when he'd fly to Vegas at 2 a.m. or when the house would fill with dozens of hangers-on. Priscilla lived in constant uncertainty, unable to breathe. Then everything changed. It started with morning sickness that lasted 2 weeks. A quiet doctor's visit confirmed what Priscilla had started to suspect. She was pregnant. Dr. Thompson smiled. "Congratulations, Mrs. Presley. You're about 6 weeks along." Priscilla sat there overwhelmed. Joy, terror, excitement, and uncertainty crashed over her at once. How would Elvis react? They'd never discussed children. Their marriage was already hanging by a thread. Would a baby save them or break them? For 3 days, Priscilla kept the secret. She watched Elvis, trying to imagine him as a father. Sometimes she could see it, his gentleness with children, his capacity for love. Other times she wondered how someone living such unpredictable chaos could be responsible for a helpless baby. Elvis noticed something was off. "Baby, you seem a million miles away," he said one evening. "Is everything okay?" "Everything's fine," Priscilla lied. She confided in her friend Sandy. "I don't know how to tell him. What if he's not ready?" Sandy took her hands. "There's never a perfect time, but Elvis loves you. Trust that." December 17, 1967. A quiet Sunday morning that would change everything. Elvis sat at the kitchen table reading the newspaper, still in his pajamas. Winter sun streamed through the windows. It was so peaceful, so rare. Priscilla had barely slept. But watching Elvis read the sports section, something inside her decided this ordinary moment was perfect enough. "Elvis," she said. He looked up, sensing something important. "What is it, baby?" Priscilla took a deep breath. "I'm pregnant." What happened next lasted only 30 seconds but felt like drowning in slow motion. Elvis didn't move. Didn't speak. Didn't blink. He just stared with an expression Priscilla couldn't read. The newspaper froze in his hands. The clock ticked off each endless second. Priscilla's mind spiraled. Was he shocked? Disappointed? Angry? The longer the silence stretched, the more terrified she became. He doesn't want this. He's going to leave. But what Elvis was experiencing was completely different. Years later, he'd call those 30 seconds the most important half-minute of his life. In that brief space, everything he knew about himself shifted. He'd been Elvis Presley the entertainer for 12 years. But facing fatherhood, he understood he was becoming something more important than any role he'd ever played. The weight of responsibility hit like a physical force. This wasn't just about him and Priscilla anymore. They were creating a life that would depend on them completely. During those silent seconds, Elvis thought about his own father Vernon, who struggled through poverty to provide for their family. He thought about his mother Gladys, who died 9 years earlier. She would have loved being a grandmother. Her absence felt sharp. Most powerfully, he thought about the kind of father he wanted to be. Not the distant touring musician who saw his child between concerts. Not the celebrity dad who sent expensive gifts but missed school plays. He wanted to be present, involved. The kind of father his dad had tried to be despite everything. When Elvis finally spoke, his voice was soft with emotion. "Are you sure?" Priscilla nodded through tears. "Dr. Thompson confirmed it yesterday." Elvis stood slowly, walked around the table, and knelt beside her chair. "Priscilla," he said, taking her hands. "I've been Elvis Presley for the world for 12 years, but I want to be the best father in the world for our child." Then he said something that changed everything. "From this moment on, every decision I make is about what's best for our family. Not my career. Not the Colonel. Our baby is going to have a daddy who's present and who loves them more than life itself." What happened next surprised Priscilla even more. Elvis began to cry. Not tears of sadness but overwhelming joy mixed with newfound responsibility. He pulled her close with a tenderness that reminded her why she'd fallen in love with him. "We're going to have a baby," he whispered. "Are you happy?" Priscilla asked. "Happy doesn't begin to cover it," Elvis replied. "I'm going to be a daddy." From that moment, everything shifted. The distance between them disappeared. The arguments about career and lifestyle suddenly seemed secondary. Elvis's transformation began immediately. He called Colonel Parker and slashed his touring schedule. "Elvis, this could hurt your career," Parker warned. "Tom," Elvis replied, using his real name. "There are things more important than my career. This is one of them." He changed Graceland's layout so Priscilla wouldn't navigate stairs during pregnancy. He read everything about pregnancy and parenting, studying baby books late at night with the same intensity he'd once brought to learning songs. Priscilla witnessed a side of Elvis few people saw. He became incredibly gentle and protective. He'd talk to the baby during her pregnancy, singing lullabies and telling stories. He personally designed the nursery. "I want our baby to feel loved from their first breath," he said. The arguments largely disappeared. When disagreements arose, Elvis would place his hand on her belly and say, "Let's not upset the baby." When Lisa Marie was born on February 1, 1968, Elvis's transformation was complete. He insisted on being present for the birth, unusual for 1960s fathers. When he first held Lisa Marie, witnesses said they'd never seen him look more content. "She's perfect," he whispered. "Absolutely perfect." The first thing he did bringing her home was tour Graceland with her. "This is your home, baby girl. Every room is filled with love for you." Priscilla later said the pregnancy announcement was the moment they truly became partners. "Before Lisa Marie, we were two people trying to survive an impossible situation. After, we were a family with a shared mission." Elvis kept his promise to be present. He turned down lucrative tours for Lisa Marie's first steps. Cancelled sessions for her first words. Postponed films for her first birthday. Colonel Parker was furious, but Elvis didn't care. "My career will recover. I'll never get these moments back." Lisa Marie herself would say her earliest memories were of a completely present father. "People think of my dad as larger than life," she said. "But to me, he was just daddy. The man who sang me to sleep and made me feel like the most important person in the world." This story teaches us that real strength isn't about commanding stages or selling records. It's being vulnerable enough to let love change you completely. Elvis's 30 seconds of silence wasn't emptiness. It was the sound of a man's identity reshaping itself around love. The king of rock and roll became something greater. He became a father who understood his greatest performance would happen in private moments, in patience and showing up day after day. That's the performance that truly matters. That's the legacy that endures.